So you may have heard for a while now that Samsung wants to make a foldable phone. They've been thinking about making a foldable phone for quite some time. Unfortunately, it has not hit the market yet, so we have not seen this foldable phone. However, there has been this foldable phone on the market for quite some time, but it's not the same dream that Samsung's thinking of. This foldable phone that's already on the market is pretty much two phones put together. So it's two slabs with a hinge in the middle, kind of like a Nintendo DS or a Nintendo 3DS. If you ever played any of the handhelds from Nintendo with two screens, that's pretty much what this foldable phone is that's already on the market. But Samsung's dream for this foldable phone is supposed to be an actual screen that actually folds down into itself. And this technology has been around for a little while now. There's been actually people demonstrating these phones or these screens that can actually fold into themselves. And if you look at the iPhone, I think 10, the iPhone 10 screen actually folds into itself a little bit. That's kind of how they make the actual design of the iPhone 10. If you're not aware, part of the screen actually folds into itself. That's how they kind of make the bezel-less design of the iPhone 10. When you look at smartphones today have pretty much been the exact same they had been for many years. You pretty much just have a flat slab with a screen on a flat slab, and that's pretty much been the design of smartphones for quite some time, and no one's really changed the boundaries of smartphone design for pretty much ever. Now Samsung is actually thinking about releasing this foldable phone in late 2018. It's supposed to come out around November. Those are what all the rumors and speculations on the internet are talking about, how this foldable phone from Samsung may be coming out in November, or at least they're going to announce it in November. Is that a possibility? Actually, I can see that being a possibility. Is anybody really asking for this foldable phone from Samsung? I don't think anyone is asking Samsung to make a foldable phone or anybody in the market to make a foldable phone, but I think it's interesting how a foldable phone may be coming from Samsung. And I think if someone's going to make this foldable phone, I can see Samsung making this foldable phone because they're pretty good when it comes to screen technology, especially when it comes to smartphone screen technology. A lot of people on the market actually use their displays in their smartphones, believe it or not. When it comes to OLED panels, Apple has been using Samsung displays on the iPhone 10 because they know how to make OLED displays on their Samsung smartphones, and since they make good OLED displays, Apple has been stealing their displays and putting it into their iPhone 10. So you can see a lot of people borrow their displays to put it on their smartphones. Why would actually Samsung want to make a foldable phone in 2018, 2019, or somewhere in the near future when we really don't have any reason why we would want a foldable phone? Is a foldable phone practical? What's the use case for a foldable phone? Well, right now, since we really don't have a true foldable phone on the market, there's not really too many scenarios where I can think that you would want a foldable phone. The only logical thing I can see is it would make the phone smaller, of course, because you can fold the phone up. And second of all, if you can fold the phone up, that means that when you unfold it, you would actually have a bigger surface to play with. So basically, this phone would actually be a tablet and a smartphone in one. If you didn't know, Samsung was actually one of the first manufacturers to actually make a big screen phone. The very first Note phone from Samsung was one of the first big screen phones on the market. So I can see them making this thing quite big so you can have a tablet and a smartphone all in one. And then when you fold it up, you can put it into your pocket. It'll be very interesting to actually see how this thing is actually going to be produced and how this thing is actually going to function, and see if people are actually going to buy this product. Why would Samsung actually want to make a product like this, and what's the use case for this? Like I said, I can't really think of any practical use cases other than this thing being a much more bigger phone than what you can already have in your pocket, since you can fold this thing up. If you look at the past and you look at Apple has done some pretty questionable things in the past, excuse me. I remember when Apple made one of the first laptops that removed the CD-ROM drive, and they didn't have a CD-ROM drive on their laptops. And I remember just with the recent releases of some of the MacBooks, I remember Apple actually removing all the USB ports and a lot of the ports on their MacBooks and just giving us a USB Type-C port. And then, of course, the big one was when they actually made one of the recent iPhones and they cut the headphone jack on one of the recent iPhones. And to this day, they pretty much don't have any headphone jacks on any of their iPhones. And they're pretty much never going to go back to a iPhone that has a headphone jack on it. But the reason they did that is because they wanted to stir up a lot of controversy and they wanted to get attention. Of course, if you do something that gutsy and that big, of course you're going to get a lot of attention from the tech community, from people in the world. Of course, you're going to get a lot of attention for doing something that a lot of other manufacturers on the market aren't actually doing. So if Samsung actually does this, then they would be one of the first manufacturers to actually make a true foldable phone, not just two slabs with a hinge in the middle that closes. They would actually be having the first true foldable phone on the market. So if this technology actually gets really popular and gets mainstream, then I can see them getting good with this technology, and they would be the first one to get this thing rolling. Another reason I can see Samsung trying to release this phone is because if you look at Samsung's recent history, Samsung hasn't been selling their smartphones really well, especially the Samsung Galaxy S9 that just released in early 2019. According to Samsung, they're not really happy with the sales figures of this phone, so maybe they want to try something different to stir up more business, to get people more excited or get people interested in such a different concept. Since we haven't had a concept like this in smartphone history, this would be the first of its product, so I can see why Samsung would actually want to do this with their Samsung smartphones. Another reason I can see Samsung doing something like this is because if Samsung does something like this, they can actually have a much more premium model than what they already have on the market, and then maybe they can actually lower the price of some of their other smartphones as well, so they can have like a budget model, because right now Samsung really doesn't have a budget model. And if you know anything about smartphones in 2018, a lot of smartphones in 2018 actually are becoming much more cheaper. A lot of the cheaper manufacturers are actually selling more smartphones than some of the high-tier brands like Apple and Samsung. They've actually gotten a lot of business when it comes to budget phones or mid-tier phones that don't cost a buttload. Now, according to everything on the internet, it looks like this phone is not going to be a cheap phone if it even does come to market. It looks like this foldable phone from Samsung is going to cost somewhere above $1,000. Someone said more close to $2,000, so it's going to cost maybe $1,500 to $2,000 depending on what model you get with this Samsung foldable phone. And I can definitely see that, because I know this technology, since it is going to be fairly new technology, and it's going to be one of the first mainstream phones on the market if it does come to market, to be quite expensive. So I can see they would have to charge quite expensive for this new product. And of course, this phone's not going to be for everyone. They just want to stir more controversy up. They want to do something gutsy like Apple's been doing by removing the headphone jack. This would get people talking about their smartphone. Maybe it would actually drum up more business, because maybe people are tired of the actual regular flat slabs when it comes to smartphones. The only thing smartphones have been doing in the current time, they have been getting rid of the bezels. So bezels have becoming less of a thing on smartphones, tablets, PCs, TVs. But even then, there's still a flat piece that pretty much fits in your pocket. So they're really wanting to try something new. It's just something really interesting to think about, thinking about how Samsung may want to make a foldable phone. We really don't know who this is for, what type of consumer wants this type of device. Is this really practical? How sturdy this thing is how sturdy this thing is going to be in practice when you actually get it. How big the battery is going to be, because I can see them running into problems with the whole battery life of this thing, and they'll probably have to make some compromises with the device that has to fold, so it won't have all the features of a modern smartphone that's just a flat slab. They'll probably have to cut some features out, but then again, I can see some other functionalities being really useful. Maybe it'll be more sturdy, believe it or not, because this thing can fold, so maybe it'll be less susceptible to like the glass breaking since it can move, and maybe you can get a bigger screen since it can fold up. There's just a lot of possibilities when it comes to a foldable smartphone. It's just really something to think about. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.